At one time, you were a tiny invisible cell. This cell divided, multiplied, and became a piece of flesh. Later, it became a seeing and feeling human being. You grew. Every year you had a new face. Have you ever considered what a great miracle this is? Or have you ever thought that everything in the universe has been created according to a certain measure, and there is a flawless balance in all things? Or that the earth you are now walking on is moving at a speed of 1,670 kilometers an hour? Have you ever considered how the various plants that grace the earth were created? How fruit emerged from the muddy soil with its tastes, smells, and colors so pleasing to human beings? How the skins of fruit are actually a wonderful wrapping? Have you ever thought that an approaching natural disaster could devastate your city and destroy your home in a moment, and that you could lose your every possession in a few seconds? Have you ever thought that your life is passing very quickly? That one day you will grow old and weak and lose your health and good looks? And death. You don't know when it will come, but, like everyone else, it will also come to you. God has created the human capacity for thought. All these things are only a few of the facts that human beings have to think about. Everyone has the capacity for thought, but may not be aware of it. When a person starts to use this capacity, he begins to see things he had never noticed before. God has created everything we see for a specific purpose, and has invited human beings to think about them. In one verse, he says, "In the creation of the heavens and earth, and the alternation of the night and day, and the ships which sail the seas to people's benefit, and the water which God sends down from the sky, by which he brings the earth to life when it was dead, and scatters about in it creatures of every kind, and the varying directions of the winds and the clouds subservient between heaven and earth, there are signs for people who use their intellect." An individual who considers the creation of the world and the endless universe will better understand the splendor and flawless balance in that universe. Human beings live on a tiny globe suspended in the endless vacuum of space. And this globe is exposed to dangers that may come from space at any moment. And there is nothing a human being can do to prevent these dangers. For example, meteorites weighing millions of tons are wandering around in space. Any one of them can collide with the world and threaten the survival of living things. Another source of danger that threatens the world are explosions on the sun. These explosions can increase, and the amount of dangerous rays reaching the Earth can intensify. There are several threats to human life, not only from the heavens, but also from the Earth. A little below the Earth's crust, there is a very hot belt of fire that we call magma. And the Earth's crust is very thin. For this reason, a volcano can erupt at any moment, and the lava can pour to the surface. Or a crack in the Earth's crust can cause an intense earthquake. A human being must never forget that he lives with these kinds of dangers at every moment. Our world is protected from these possible threats by very delicate balances. An individual who thinks about these things understands that all creatures live on the earth by God's will, and thanks to the flawless balance that He has created. The vacuum of space is different from the kind of life we are used to. At this moment, 560 million kilometers above the place where you are sitting, there are radiation storms moving at a speed of 100,000 kilometers an hour, caused by explosions on the sun. In space, the temperature is a freezing minus 273 degrees. The awesome temperature inside the stars reaches millions of degrees. Giant meteorites go hurling at great speeds through the emptiness of space. Now think of your own position in this endless emptiness of space. To imagine this, let's first compare the concept of distances on Earth to that of distances in the universe. In the universe, the distance between the closest stars is 30 trillion kilometers. Of all the stars that twinkle in the sky, the closest one to you is 500 trillion kilometers away. Now, let's look at our position within our galaxy. There are some 250 billion stars in the Milky Way. Our Sun is only one of these. 9 planets revolve in great harmony around the Sun. This whole system is the solar system. Within this solar system that encompasses 12 billion square kilometers, our Earth occupies a very small place. If you think of the Earth as a marble, the Sun would be the size of a football 280 meters away from the marble. In spite of these huge numbers, the Milky Way occupies a small area among the 300 billion galaxies in space. The continual movement in space is even more interesting. The Earth revolves on its own axis at a speed of 1,670 kilometers an hour. At the same time, it revolves around the Sun, which is 103 times larger than it. The Earth makes this revolution at a speed of 108,000 kilometers an hour. That is, about 60 times greater than the speed of a bullet. At the same time, the Earth and the Sun are moving towards the star Vega at 200 kilometers a second. That is, at the extraordinary speed of 720,000 kilometers an hour. And our galaxy is also moving. And we are not even aware of this enormous journey we are making every moment. Because of the flawless balances that God has established, we never sense this journey. Have you ever wondered why we never sense this movement for even a moment? At this moment, as you watch this film, there is no vibration going on. As you sit in a park or walk along the road, you don't know that the world is turning. But our world is a gigantic mass traveling in space at the great speed of 200 kilometers a second. One moment we've moved 200 kilometers. The next moment we've moved 400, 600. When the sun rises, a whole new day begins. Actually, it is a great miracle that human beings can wake up healthy every morning. Despite the fact that a person completely loses consciousness when he falls asleep, he begins the new day with the same consciousness and personality that he had the day before. Again, he can think, speak, and see. However, while asleep at night, there is no guarantee that these blessings will be given to him again in the morning. Human beings must think about this, sense God's wide mercy and protection over them, and give Him thanks. People must think about their own weakness. As God maintains in Surah 4, verse 28, man was created weak. When people aren't careful about what they eat, drink, or the clothing they wear, they may easily become ill. An invisible flu virus is enough to make someone weighing 60 to 70 kilos very ill. The only thing the sick person can do is rest in bed. During this time, a struggle goes on in the body that the sick person has no control over.